My girlfriend of 3 years confessed she only started dating me because a roommate convinced her, knowing that I had a big crush on her. We met through mutual friends at a rooftop party 2 blocks from her apartment. It was one of those summer nights where the air is just warm enough that nobody wants to go inside, and someone had dragged a Bluetooth speaker onto the roof, and the whole thing felt a little too perfect to be real. I noticed her the second I walked through the stairwell door. She was laughing at something, head tilted back, completely unbothered by the world around her. I didn't even try to talk to her that night. I just kind of stayed on the opposite side of the roof and told myself I was being cool about it. I was not being cool about it. I went home that night and immediately asked our mutual friend everything about her. Name, job, situation, all of it. He answered every question with this look on his face like he was watching something unfold in slow motion. I told myself I was just curious. He knew better. What I didn't know at the time was that he was also her roommate. Same building, different floors. They'd been close for 2 years. So the next morning he went home, sat down at the kitchen table while she was making coffee, and casually mentioned that some guy from the party had asked about her. She asked which one. He described me. She had zero recollection. He pulled up my profile and showed her. She glanced at it for maybe 3 seconds and said she wasn't interested. He let it go for about a week. Then he brought it up again and again after that. Not in a pushy way, he said later. Just in this persistent, dripping water on stone kind of way. He kept saying I was a good person, normal, straightforward, not the kind of guy who would make things weird. She kept saying she wasn't looking to date anyone she'd met once on a rooftop who she didn't even remember. Eventually she got tired of hearing about it. She made him a deal. One dinner. She would go to one dinner, give it a real shot, and if it felt off in any way, awkward, boring, uncomfortable, anything, he would drop it permanently and never mention my name again. He agreed. She said fine. And then, without telling me a single word of any of this, she texted me and said she'd been thinking about the party and wanted to grab food sometime. I stared at my phone for a full minute before responding. I thought she had thought about me. I thought something about that night had stuck with her the same way it had stuck with me. I spent 2 days picking the restaurant. Not a fancy place, but a good one. A small Italian spot with low lighting and a menu that wasn't so long it became a whole thing to get through. I ironed my shirt. I got there 8 minutes early and then walked around the block twice so I wouldn't seem like I'd been waiting. I was so nervous I almost knocked over the water glass when she sat down. But something happened about 15 minutes into that dinner. The nerves settled. The conversation started flowing in a way that didn't feel forced. Didn't have those long, painful pauses where you're both searching for the next topic. We talked about our jobs, then our families, then somehow got onto the subject of what we were both like in high school and spent 20 minutes laughing about that. She ordered dessert. I took that as a good sign. She told him when she got home that night that she might need a second dinner. He apparently did a little celebration in the hallway outside her door. I had no idea about any of this. Not the deal, not the conversations, not the fact that she had walked into that restaurant fully prepared to have one polite meal and go home and close the chapter. I thought it was mutual from the beginning. I thought we just happened to find each other at exactly the right moment and it clicked. I built our whole origin story on that version of events and held on to it for 3 years. 3 years of Sunday mornings making breakfast together. 3 years of figuring out how to argue without it turning into something bigger than it needed to be. 3 years of becoming the kind of comfortable with another person that you don't know how to explain to anyone on the outside. I thought I knew exactly how all of it started. Then one Sunday morning, she's standing at the counter scrolling her phone and she starts laughing. Her old roommate had sent her a meme, something about matchmakers never getting the credit they deserve. She showed it to me, laughed again, and then went quiet in a way that was different from normal quiet. I asked her what was wrong. She put the phone face down on the counter, looked at me for a second like she was deciding something, and then she told me everything. The deal. The one dinner rule. The fact that she had texted me not because something had stayed with her from that night, but because she'd made a trade with her roommate just to get him to stop bringing me up. She said it as plainly and honestly as she could, and I could tell she'd been carrying it for a while. I just stood there, holding a spatula, eggs burning on the stove behind me.